Welcome to Michelle Vandepass's Purpose and Profit, where Michelle asks deep and challenging questions about how to live large, shine brighter, and explore our personal edges. Go with her into an exploration of where we are headed with purpose and profit, individually and also as a human race. And now here's your host, my friend, Michelle Vandepass.
All right. For anyone who doesn't know you, oh my gosh, I'm going to so butcher your name, Asha. Asha Ramakrishna.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Is the author of the Priestess Code, Awakening the Modern Woman. Hold it up again so everyone can see it. Beautiful book. There's a gorgeous image of you in prayer, gratitude. It looks more than just prayer. It looks like you embody everything that a modern priestess would. So beautiful image. And that's on the cover of your book for those of you who are just listening and can't see it. When you have a chance, rush on over to Amazon and look it up, and you'll find it under the Priestess Code. So, Asha, welcome to the show. It's so awesome to have you here. Are you excited?
Yes, I'm so excited. And just hearing you say, embodying that, that couldn't be, like, that is just so much the truth. Living these principles for 9 years. And, like, as someone who has been writing for this for a long time, it's frustrating when you don't accomplish something in a time that you think you should have finished it. But then when you realize that in order to really embody these teachings, I had to live them. And there's this divine timing of it, really completing now.
Yeah, that's so great. So I'm going to talk to you for the next little bit about your book, and then maybe a little bit later we can talk about the process.
Okay.
Yeah. So you've got these principles about how to be a modern priestess. Let's start. My question to start with is really what is a modern priestess? Because it's like I don't have time to go like make potions in the mountains, right? So, and I know you don't either. So tell me what a modern priestess really is.
Well, the way that I see a modern priestess, I think that, there's a lot of us who are old souls, and we know we're old souls, and we're here not just to serve ourselves, but we also feel the sense that we're here to do something for something bigger than ourselves, whatever that may be, humanity, God, the universe, spirit, whatever it is that you want to call it. And it's this marrying of this deep desire and longing that we have with carpool and networking events and paying the bills and great shoes. It's just like marrying of this ancient piece, but also with how do we bring all of that depth and and ritual part that we long for in day to day, and make it practical. So that's what I've had to live. Like I feel that way, and I've had to live a very full life with career and businesses and kids and marriage and volunteering for things, and somewhere in there I had to make every part of my life fit who I was.
Yeah, I love that. I think women especially, will relate to that. You started as a scientist. Well, you're still a scientist, right? You're still a scientist, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of, you got this lightning bolt of enlightenment that most of us are waiting for, right? It's like, I want the lightning bolt. Just tell me what to do. And you got it. You got marching orders.
Oh, holy crap. I can't even believe it. I mean, I was waiting for that moment too. And, and then the moment hit me, and, I talk about it in the book, but basically I was taking a shower and I heard, hold these principles to be truth and to live by. And I was like, what? Where did that come from? And obviously I knew this was important. I mean, I had already been meditating. I was in sort of this, communication with unseen loving forces, if you will, but I had never had this directive, and I knew it was important. So I grabbed a towel, water dripping everywhere, and I just wrote what I heard. and there were 7 of them. And I remember looking at them and saying, wow, these are really nice, but I don't live this way.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that just sort of hit me, right?
Mm.
Because it's like I know what to eat, but I don't always eat that way. I know how I should exercise for my body, and I don't always do it. I know what kind of mom I should be, but I don't always do it, right?
Yeah.
And so all this guilt comes in because we're busy and we have great lives, and right? So how did you reconcile that, and how long did it take, and do you live that way now? There's so many questions.
Yeah. I mean, first I knew that they were for me. I mean, it's like, okay, I'm this priestess, this modern priestess, this woman who's like, I'm hungry to serve. Like that is like, without a doubt, who I am. I've always been that way. Even when I was 8 years old, I went to India and I knew that my purpose was to help people. And yet here are these principles, and it's very clear from my life of achieving, and like going after goal after goal, that I wasn't living that way. And so I knew that they were for me. I knew that I had to start practicing them and learning, well, what does it mean? I mean, the first principle, it took me 2 years to start understanding, what is this about? It's, you are a seasonal being accepted. And I was like, well, what the hell does that mean, right?
Yeah, so say that again so that everyone's clear. So what is the first principle?
You are a seasonal being accepted.
Yeah, anytime someone tells me to accept something, you want to fight. It's like, I don't have to. I can make my own reality. Thank you.
Well, yes, I think that's a lot of what we're taught, right? It's like, well, no, I can overcome this. I can get past this. I don't need to whine. I don't need to complain. I am, my mind directs me to where I want to be. And all those things are true. And we also have crappy years. And we also have health things that come up. And we also have one of our kids really hurting, or we have somebody who betrays us. And so these are real things. And the way that I have married or integrated this principle has been that, okay, this is not about me denying the real stuff that happens in life. And how do I embrace it in a way that makes me more victorious rather than a victim to it. And knowing what my season is it's changed my marriage. First of all, it's changed my career. Knowing that what season am I in, and how do I prepare myself and those around me, my kids and my husband and my support team, how do I prepare them for the year that I'm about to have? Because most of us can come into like November and pretty much know that we've had a crappy year or we've had an amazing year. Like most of us know that by the end of the year. But if we had a system that told us exactly what we're going to be experiencing, or the energies that are supporting us on any given year, that makes it just a little bit easier to sort of accept what the season is.
So you have a system. So is it like numerology where there's a number of years? Kind of explain what your system is.
Yeah, so
I know a little bit, but I don't know much about it.
It's not mine. It's really based on the I Ching, and it's a way that was more formulated in Japan, and it's really woven into feng shui. So I studied feng shui I still study feng shui for now. See, my daughter's 14, so it's probably going on 12 years. And this has been one of those tools that has, here is this tool, and then here's this principle of you are a seasonal being. So this was my way of bringing a practical tool to a sort of this big concept, esoteric, like, okay, that sounds nice, but how does that apply to my day to day? And this is the way that I've sort of been able to incorporate it into my day to day.
So just to stay on this principle
Yep.
and the season for a minute, is it like a cycle? You have like growth years and down years?
Yep.
Is that sort of what you're talking about?
So it's a 9-year cycle, and basically is that some years are more yin, so more internal, and some years are more yang, more external. And depending on what it is, it requires different things from us, right? So if we're having a very yin year, but we're trying to force a lot of action, things just don't work out as well.
Yeah, just frustration, right?
Frustration.
For those manifesting generators.
Yes, exactly.
For those of you listening and watching who might know human design.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's cool. So let's just stay on the principle. So once you plug in, and anyone who wants to know more about these seasons or human design can contact you. But it is once you know where you are, then you can kind of be with the rhythms of life a little better.
Yeah, and start seeing the patterns, right? So starting to see the patterns of okay, if I'm going to be having a more yin year and it's a year that I need to be taking care of myself a little bit more, can I like be with that? Can I really be with that? And I mean, I'll be honest, I fight it too. It's not that fun to be in a yin year for someone whose mind is so active, right? But it's this reminder of like, yes, this is the year that I'm more internal, because next year it's a year where I'm being supported to just be more external, to be teaching the things that I have learned in this past year. And we all know this, right? If we don't take care of ourselves, it's like we're toast for everybody else. So I think there's a question.
Gee, we're toast. Okay, so what cycle are you in now?
So interestingly enough, I'm in a 6th metal year, and it's the year of leadership. And so it's a perfect time. It's a perfect time.
And you're going off to speak at a women's leadership conference this coming week and launching your book. So very exciting for you. Okay, so that's the first of 7 principles. Do you mind sharing the other principles with us?
Sure. I know. Every time somebody asks me, I'm like, oh, do I have them memorized?
Yeah.
So
I love that. You're opening your book.
I have to.
While you're doing that, I'm just going to see if anyone on Facebook has a question or a comment. You read away.
Okay, so the second one is deconstruct and construct. It is your nature. Basically, it's, this concept of letting ourselves say goodbye to the things that don't work anymore, and a process of how to do it in a way that's compassionate. And I don't think that it has to be this like harsh process.
Slash and burn. Right?
It doesn't have, if that's your style and that is what you think is juicy and delicious in life, then by all means, like I'm to support people. But I know for me, that is too much. Like that is too harsh. So.
Right. Yeah. I know. I sometimes have clients who are like, well, I just cut them out of my life. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I get it. And sometimes it feels a bit harsh, right? So I love that there's a gentler way. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, okay. So you are here to be the highest form of who you are, nothing else. Exactly. Be, not do. And even in that principle, the action of, even though it's about being, there's also this action of love that you're here to, your job is to be the highest expression of yourself. And the work is, how do I become that? What does that mean on any given moment? Right? Like when you're in conversations with people, it's like it's easy to go down the route of not having it be super high vibe. But if we have this sort of mantra of my job is to be as high vibration as possible, what does that look like?
Nice.
Compare yourself to no other. I find that most women, when I read that, they like, yeah.
That's hard. And, we both have teenage daughters. Man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Yeah.
You know, we can. There's an element of this that's sort of woven into the next principle, which is about sisterhood. And I know that a lot of people talk about women's circles or women's, especially in the workplace. A lot of people talk about how women are really in competition with one another. And what I will say is that we've been living a paradigm that is not about collaboration. And we've been living a paradigm that is more patriarchal. And so where we are is not because someone is not nice or whatever that may be. I mean, it's a lot of it is we've sort of been set up. From a society standpoint, from familial standpoint, cultural, workforce, all these things, we're sort of set up in this place where it's not always easy to know our own power, our own value, and then also not feel uneasy about someone else's power and value. Mm-hmm. And what I will say is that I feel like we are in a process of this sisterhood piece of we're growing up and we're trying to figure it out. How do we be in sisterhood? How do we honor ourselves and also have space to honor another human being, and not, there isn't like one is above another. It's like we're kind of in it together. And we are learning this.
It feels a little bit to me like we're coming back around, because I think most indigenous cultures and ancient wisdom had that balance where everybody had their sort of their spot, and everyone was equally valued and respected and wise for what they brought to the circle. So I it does feel like maybe it's in the United States or our culture or whatever it is in the Western world, but we lost that, and we're getting finally back in touch with some part of that.
Yeah, we've lost it, and I am also curious about, I don't know that we're reclaiming something ancient. I think we're taking a piece of something ancient and we're bringing it into modern life.
Yeah. Well, and that's the name of your book, The Modern Priestess.
Because, it's not like we are in this tribal setting where, if I do my job, it'll help the whole. And if the whole is working, then I'm good. Like that's not the way our lives are set up. Our lives are set up that I kind of have to take care of myself here.
Right.
And also, like, it's dual. It's these two pieces: taking care of myself, taking care of my people, and also being in communication, in relationship with other people too. And then based on that, I'm going to make my life better, and I'm also going to make your life better. So I feel like it's a new evolution of things. Like what they kind of call this like the fourth wave of feminism. Right, where it's like we just let everybody do their thing and we honor each other for it.
Yeah, nice. I've lost track. How many principles have we done?
So the next one is connect to a sisterhood. It will strengthen you.
Yeah, good.
Permission. This is my favorite, I think. Permission is no longer needed. You are here to create with free will. Expand this awareness. This is really about deconstructing from the matrix and really unplugging from the expectations that we have put on ourselves or that others have put on us, and begin to really get honest about what is it that I want. And it is my time now to begin to exercise this. And it's not always pretty for the people in our lives when we start sort of like, rallying for ourselves. But I think it's important for everybody really to begin to live lives that feel good to them.
Mm. And so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but one of my favorite sayings is you don't throw away the baby with the bathwater. You kind of figure out how it all works together. So as a busy wife and mom, do you just suddenly say, I screw this. This is what I want today, and head off doing your own thing. No, I'm sure. But somehow you're sort of bringing it all together, and that might take a little time and a little molding, right, to make it actually work.
It does take time. I will say, I can think of so many examples where I know that, no, this is what's right for me. And I've had to negotiate that in my marriage or, with people that I work with, or even with my kids. And I was talking about this earlier, that sometimes when we know what we want and it's like a rubber band, like we're stretching it. And in that stretching, sometimes the rubber band breaks, and that's okay. Like, have a little compassion for yourself for that. But also in that stretching, it also gives us an opportunity, or remembering that it takes a little time for other people to get used to the new way that we're stretching, including ourselves, right? Yeah. A little compassion for ourselves, a little compassion that it's going to take them a little time to get used to the new you. Being as honest as possible. I mean, I had this conversation this morning. It was like, my week is so full. And my husband's like, oh, you're here today? And I was like, okay, before you start giving off, having me run your errands, I'm not doing anything for you. Is that clear? Okay.
Yeah, because you're home doesn't mean you're not working, or right. You don't have a full schedule. Yeah. All right. How many principles are we up to?
All right. We have the last one.
All right.
This is really beautiful. And this is one of the, I think the toughest one for me to embody for sure. It's your needs and soul wants are provided even before you know you need or want them. Embody this intention. So what this really is that your needs and wants are provided, and trust that they are. And the moment that you stop trusting that this is the truth is when you start creating outside of your own alignment. So, again, as a modern priestess, when you think about retirement, or you think about saving for college, like all these things, to me anyway, it feels like it's this dance that I'm doing of trusting and also taking the right actions, right? So that it's not like, well, I'm just blindly trusting. It's a play, it's really a play with the universe, and like going into that womb wisdom, that gut feeling of, can I trust myself, and can I trust the universe that everything that I need and want will be provided? And it obviously opens up a conversation of like, well, what do I really need and want?
Right. And what does the universe think you need and want, and is that what you really need and want, right? Like, I would like a chocolate chip cookie, and silly example, but we have all these things going around in our brains that we think we need and want, and is it true, I guess?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the whole manifestation question.
Yeah, but it's like when you connect, let's say you connect to a desire, in that connection to the desire, other things show up, and then you have a choice. Do I like this or do I not like this? Yeah. And if I don't like this, then, well, it's time for me to look inside and what is it in me that is that's sort of playing along this path, versus is there a different path that I'm more curious about?
Yeah, I like that you pose it as a choice, because I think when we're given choices, so many of us go into like deer in the headlights, like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I thought I was being led down this path, and now I'm being led down this path, and which is right and which is right for me. And sometimes it is just a choice, I think. But going back to your first principle, being a seasonal being, you have to balance with what cycle you're in, right? So maybe you have the choice that you want to get out there on big stages and speak and promote your wisdom that way. But if it's an internal cycle, it may be a year of preparing for that.
Absolutely. Yes.
So it's choice over the long haul, over the cycles, over the seasons. Is that what I hear you say? How you navigate it?
I mean yes. And I also think each person, one of the great teachers, Gary Zukov, always says, take what works for you and the rest leave behind. And if there's something in this that's making people feel a little bit uncomfortable, first is like, ask yourself the question, why? And second, if this doesn't work for you, and if this is not how you want to have spirit or God or the universe work through you, then that's okay too. Like, we are all at different places. I believe that as a modern priestess, we can feel good, be wealthy, and give back. I mean, I really believe in this motto that we are primed and we are being supported to do this, that our desires are beautiful. There is nothing wrong with having beautiful desires, and that sometimes we do get knocked around a little bit, and it has to sometimes do with our season, and sometimes it's just like, a little like get in line.
Yes, and sometimes it's just life, right?
And actually something you said to me was when I had the choice. Do I want to keep writing this book? Do I really want to publish this book? And you said to me, sometimes life asks you, like, knocks you down so that you say, do I want this or do I not want it? And if I want it, then like full steam ahead. And if I don't want it, then that's okay. Because, the truth is that an essence of something that needs to be created is an essence for other people to take as well. And if I said no to this, it would come into the universe in a different form.
Right. Some other person would pick up that vibration. So you can get the book, hold it up again for us and people listening. Awakening the Modern Woman, the Priestess Code. It's the first in a series of books that Asha is publishing. You can find out more as well at ashaisnow.com. It's her website. It is available on Amazon and will be available everywhere books are sold within the next day or two. You're also, if anyone, maybe I'm letting a big secret out of the bag, but aren't you offering a master class?
Yes.
You want to talk about that? So,
well, yes, I can. So one of the, the whole point and the whole essence of this is about sacred balance. Because it is not about saying that, the masculine's wrong and the feminine's really the thing. It's more about how do we activate the feminine so that the overworked masculine can come back into its balance and both of them can live together, right? And so for, now maybe 9 or 8 years, I've been teaching about bringing life into sacred balance. And it's really the principles. The principles are the ones that help us to come back into this balance, to begin to quiet the mind and kind of put it in its place, and then bring the feminine more into existence. So this bringing life into sacred balance masterclass is going to be on June 18th, and it's going to be for those who purchase the book, because the book is the foundation to the class. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper on some principles that I'm probably going to put it out to vote to see which principles people want me to explore on, because in 2 hours I can't do them all, but I can definitely bring a lot, like a meditation and some work around at least 2 of the principles. And
can people find out more about that at your website, ashaisnow.com?
Yeah, so right now, do I have it? So I think it's ashaisnow.com /masterclass.
Awesome. And because this is going up on a podcast, people will be listening to this hopefully in a year from now. That page will have something about when the next master classes up in case they missed the first one. So as always, just head on over to Asha's site, ashaisnow.com, and get her book and the whole series of books. If you're listening in a year or two, maybe the whole series will be out by then, of the Priestess Code. The first is Awakening the Modern Priestess. Thank you so much. Will you stay on for a little while? I'm going to ask you about the process.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that
And
all right?
were there some questions on? I think I saw some questions pop up from Facebook.
Yeah,
but,
let me go look.
or
Let's
I don't
go
know if it was
look.
comments.
Oh yeah, comments, questions. So apparently we've got. Oh yeah, I was at the wrong place. I was at Karen. Our mutual friend Karen had shared. So let me go see. Marcel says the power of women could change the whole world. Look at a little kid on a bus on her school. Adults hunted her down because she's so powerful. Oh, my heart glows for Malala. I am Malala. Oh, permission not needed in the free world. Women own the world. Karen says, I love your book. It's amazing. Hey, Karen, go give Asha a review. Then Karen says, how can women give themselves permission to take better care of themselves? Okay,
Yeah.
Asha.
Woo. I mean, that's a great question. I think it's a practice.
Do you think it's permission? Is that the problem? That we don't give ourselves permission? For me, it feels like time.
I mean, it's time, but it's, I talk to people about this in business, right? Well, what are your priorities, right? Like, what are the priorities? Like, what's the big rocks and the little rocks? And so if the priority is health, if that's really a priority, like truly, if you feel that, I mean, if you just think it, but you're not really with it, like with it at an emotional level or at a really kind of like heart level, maybe it's not. I mean, that's a little bit of the honest thing. I mean, it's like if that's not really important to you, like you can try to force yourself to make that happen, and maybe it's you get support around it and you just kind of force yourself to do it. But it's like someone who wants to stop smoking, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't make somebody do it until they want to.
And does it, so I'm starting to see how these principles might weave together, because that probably has to do with seasons. Like there are some seasons that you were saying earlier where it's just a more naturally inward cycle, and it will feel more in alignment to spend extra time taking care of yourself than in a season when you're really out there, go, and do.
Yeah. And I mean, and even in those seasons, what we both know that when those seasons when we're go, do, it's really key to be paying attention to our health.
Right. Absolutely.
But it is, I mean, I'm hearing what Karen's saying. It is about permission, but it's also about asking ourselves the question, is this really what I want? And I'm a big fan and proponent of enrolling the whole family when we want something. I can give you so many examples of times in my life where, I've been at my knees and just really things haven't really been awesome. And gathering my family and saying, this is what's going on and this is what I'm needing. And, even my kids, when they were little, they would rally to say, I would say, well, you have this thing, but I want to go to a yoga class. And they're like, just go to yoga. So I really believe in this, in enrolling everybody, because they do it for us, right? They want something, they tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Learn from our kids. Let's go see if there's any more questions here. Awesome. Okay, lots of likes and shares and whatnot. But I think that's.
Can I say one more thing about that comment? That comment that somebody had made about, women will rule the world or whatever it was. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful comment. And I'm also really sensitive to the fact that this whole gender spectrum thing is not about woman and man. It's really about an essence. And I was talking to a gender scholar, and she said, the way that as women we, portray ourselves in a certain way, she called it, she did a character. I think she said it's a character we play. To me, it was like it's an expression, right? But men and women, we both have feminine and masculine qualities. And this, even though I know this book is about the modern woman, I think I hope anyway, that it crosses that line, and that even man can look at what I've written here and start noticing and seeing those feminine aspects within themselves that they can also start exercising. Because sometimes men haven't had the permission to be more feminine. And so can they give themselves permission to be more feminine, or what is considered to be more feminine, and play that character?
Nice. I like that. And I think for me, when someone says women who can rule the world, I'm in agreement. I think it's the energy. It's the feminine energy. It's the mothering, nurturing energy, whether you're a mother or not, or female or not, or who you identify with. As they say now, I feel old when I hear that kind of languaging, but I'm learning. And it does feel like, what quality are you choosing to embrace today? And there's a mothering, feminine, nurturing energy that the world needs right now.
Yeah. I saw a question pop up from Facebook, and it said, I think it was Karen that said, do you think that it's about men embracing their feminine energy, or something to that effect? And I think it's about all of us becoming more balanced and whole, like all of us embracing the masculine and also the feminine. And, I've had men talk to me and say, I know your book is about women, but can you let me know when it's out? Because I really relate to what you're saying. And to me, that's encouraging, and it's exciting that, men are feeling less shy about having seasons, about having, about going through that process of deconstructing and reconstructing, and understanding that being is important. I mean, these are all concepts that it's not really just about women, really.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. AshaIsNow.com. Her book, The Priestess Code, Awakening the Modern Woman by Asha Ramakrishna, is available now on Amazon and everywhere books are sold. Yay!
Thank you for having me. I really appreciated this conversation and the questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to the show. If you've enjoyed this episode, please visit us on iTunes, click the subscribe button, and leave us a rating or review to help get the word out. We'll be back next time with more great episodes. Thank you for listening to Michelle Van de Pass's Purpose and Profit.